Welcome back to Made of Wires and April Fool's Day. Hopefully you've been fooled and done some fooling. What are we doing today? Oh, that's not the page I want. There we go. We're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night, of course. Go to stone.z.dev to learn more about the project. I wanted to move past the new lib stuff because I think that's only interesting to me, and if you are watching the streams, you probably want to know about Symphony of the Night. But like I said yesterday, this is an interesting historical artifact of the PSP implementation of the game, and I just want to learn more about it. I didn't have time to come up with anything else yesterday, nor do I have time to get into anything new today. So sorry for you, but we're going to keep going and look at it some more. So we're going to, what we've been doing is trying to figure out what the correct symbol names are for a bunch of the functions, the new lib functions that haven't been named yet, and find them and decompile them if we can. And so that's what we're going to continue doing. So we're going to look through new lib. As I mentioned earlier, Gamester81 has done a lot of this work already. And we're just trying to figure out the ones that are missing and what they might be, and if we can fill in those gaps. Things like get mod reent, set mod reent, etc. Or why those aren't in their appropriate files. So I think we decided yesterday that it was new lib 1.5. Interesting. These might not be part of new lib? I don't know. Alright, so clean up glue, reclaim, reent. Let's figure out what these are if we can. By typing correctly. Alright, so we're going to look in reent here and try to find what functions are between cleanup glue and reclaim reent. So I mentioned before, reentrancy is used for when a function is called that typically it uses something like a static value or some other type of memory. And imagine that you call a function like printf, and printf uses a static buffer, static global buffer, and if you call that from two different threads, then those two threads are trying to use that same buffer at the same time. To make it reentrant, what we want to say is we can enter into this function either at the same time or possibly even in the course of recursion, and we're going to be safe. There's other ways to think about this, but it's in some ways pure isn't the right word. Idempotent maybe the best thing that we currently have that we talk about. We don't really talk about reentrancy too much. And here's where we run into a small issue, is that there is no function between cleanup glue and reclaim reent, which is why it wasn't named. And I don't see one in like an ARC specific, like PowerPC like the other one is. So it seems like there might be another function here, but we just don't know what it is yet. And so what can we do about that? It may come down to decompiling one of these functions and figure out what that is. I don't see anything super obvious that could be in here. It is possible that maybe these symbols are shifted, but I doubt that. And it could be that it's something like this, like wrap up reent, which is out of order, or reclaim reent is out of order. And really it is wrap up reent. Let's check that out and see if that's the case. So we have all of our definitions. I'm going to pull this BFF4. And my assumption is that this no, actually I'm going to pull reclaim reent. My assumption is that that is misnamed and it should be wrap up reent, but we'll see if that's the case. So we're going to look at ASM PSP main. These are not in matching or non-matching because we're not compiling these at all. We're just assembling them and then linking them in. And we're going to look at reclaim reent. Hey guest, hey Dizik, good to have you. So we have all of these headers and definitions from the other work that we've been doing, so this should be hopefully straightforward, but we'll see. Still a human. And just like before, I don't really want to muck with my context. So I'm just going to keep copying it over for now. If I was doing this in earnest, I might do that, but not today. So we have a bunch of things. We know that we're probably at optimization level 2. We have a couple different macros, just one macro that we need. And putting the debug information will give us line numbers later, so we're going to do that too. And then I'm going to come back over here and grab my assumption, and it might be a bad one. My assumption was that this was going to be wrap up reent, but it's not. It doesn't look to be. And it looks like it really is reclaim reent. So that's too bad. So the next function, then, the one that I don't have a name for, let's grab this and see if we can get it to compile. The next function may be the right thing. So we need to get any macros correct, like these other ones. Oh, interesting. This does not have a copyright header at the top. Strange. I'm going to assume that it's under the same license as these others. Not the safest assumption, but so these may be coming from a couple different things. Let's try to figure out where this is happening. So we're on line 29. So the MP free list, we need to figure out what the correct macro for that is, where it's defined. And make sure that we have the right version of that. So we have two different versions. Let's see which version we currently have enabled. Okay, so we have both of them. Let's see what the difference is. where the split happens. I thought we had Rient small, but maybe not. Not if Rient small. Rient small is worse. Alright, what other... What other big changes? So we're missing some branches here. Oh, Rient small changes this quite a bit. So we change this as well. The symbol name is a little different. All of this other stuff appears to be correct. So we're not going down the Rient small code path. And again, it's possible that this is just different. Like, do we just not have this check? It looks like we do, but it's slightly different. And then a slightly different ending as well. Oh, the be free call is interesting. Let's look for that. So it's almost like this check here. There's another case where be free is being called. So there's a jump here. Be free actually should be free R. So odd that it's called explicitly later on. And unfortunately, we're getting really, really bad decompiles from M2C. Let me look at this again. So a lot of this logic ends up coming out of order. And unfortunately, our only macro that's really affecting anything here is the Rient small. It does appear to be this function though. So I'm going to make that, assume that that's the case. Actually, this may call into other functions here that we don't have yet. So let's go back over here and see which, if this BFF4 is referenced. Yes, it is. So is it referenced everywhere that we have cleanup glue? So it's possible that that BFF4 is actually cleanup glue and the one right before it is not. I'd probably be willing to wager that. Let's take a look. We need a specific function. Might not be, could be something else. It is interesting a bit. Whoever was working on this and integrating libc, it does look like, at least from what I could tell, that there was not, like there wasn't a patch for between 15 and 16. Maybe there were other patches that were exchanged on the mailing list. That's definitely possible. And there could be things that were in the development branch later on. I do see that there is a GitHub import of 15 that does have some interesting comments. Let me get this going, and then I'll tell you if I find anything interesting there. If it's not interesting, forget that I said anything. libc orient.c. Yeah, this just has that same import. All right, so we want to see if this is cleanup glue or not. I think that's the goal. I feel like naming symbols before you compile or decompile is can be difficult. Oh no. You know, there were some Cloudflare issues this morning. Just trying to see. Sioux Falls is having issues. Virginia's having issues. I don't think I'd be affected by either of those, but decomp.me, there's a high likelihood that it's in Virginia. I don't know Norfolk though. There's a lot of AWS infrastructure. I don't know what decomp.me runs on. Let's try it again. It looks like decomp.me might just be down. That's a bummer. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that, let's go back over and let's see if we can just walk through what might be happening here and how we can tell if this is or is not actually cleanup glue. So we should expect my guess is word-sized read from the argument in the A1 register, which then is going to call the function recursively, and ultimately that just calls free R. So we have our free R call. So what we want to see is a recursive call to self. And we don't have that. There was a mention about tail call optimization earlier. And could this be tail call optimized? It could be. I don't know that it is, though. This also has that funny structure where the return address register and resetting the stack pointer, those are not at the very end of the function. This is definitely different from the older version of GCC, the 2.7 version of GCC that we use on the PlayStation. Almost universally, those are the last two instructions. Sometimes the stack pointer wasn't adjusted. Sometimes that happened a little earlier and there was a no-op. Pretty unique, though. Bummer. Yeah, I think decomp.me is toast. Alright, so what can we do in the meantime? I do need to get this RBOO branch out. So let's review together. I'll go through my review process and what I like to do. Let's see. Let's go to my branch. I have looked for that, so and we can do that as well. So the best ways that I know to do that are with strings and grep. So like I said, I'm pretty sure that this is 1.15, or any string references in newlib would be good as well. I couldn't find any symbols at all. We know when the newlib releases were, so we can't do anything newer than the release, and it probably needs to be at least a few months before the release of the game, because you wouldn't ship a new version too early, especially if that version does have modifications in it. So this does say it matches. Let's see. Try hex dump. One dot is going to be too much. Let's see. Let's try a pipe. There's a 15. Oh, let's try this. Oops, that's what I wanted. There's no references that I have found at all either that specifically reference newlib. So Gamester81 was the one who found it originally, and even something like get reent or reent should show up somewhere. Oh, and it looks like it does. Let's try strings and see if it shows up that way. Strings, there might be an arg to set the limit for how big of a string you want. It looks like it might be 4 characters. Oh, so we do have get mod reent. That's the function we found earlier. That seems like, actually I did look up these strings earlier. These aren't part of the release 1.15 for newlib. this bad bass possibly is. Let's look for that. Oh, that only shows up in 1.14. Interesting. That's interesting because some of the implementations matched 1.15. So I wonder if there's patches on 1.14 that eventually became 1.15. That is interesting. I haven't thought about integer versions. That's a good point. This bad bass thing. It's making me rethink things. Interesting that they have UTF-8 reference. That's somewhat progressive. So I'm curious if that message really was... No, it is here, and why didn't my grep show it? What did I do? Well, there it is. I don't know why it didn't show up before. Okay, anyway, I was wrong. Yeah, so we do see some strings from newlib in here, but not a lot. You say strings n? We can limit that. Let's try 2. Really, I'd want something that. So there are version strings in some of these files as well, and so like if you chose to compile those in RCSID, sometimes you get lucky, and those are compiled in. I haven't seen anything like that though, unfortunately. But based on the code that we've seen so far, I'm pretty confident that it's 1.1.5. Sorry, 1.15 with some additional changes. It looks like some of the stuff maybe from the PowerPC architecture specific may have gotten in there, but there's some differences with that too. Let's see if decomp.me is back yet. It is. All right. And now I've lost my place. Actually, I might have to call it a day anyway. We'll try to get some clarity on this rant. Alright, so is this cleanup glue or is it something else? No, I do it every time. Okay, let's look at, so we need optimization level 2, debug G3. And let's grab our dynamic orient option. And yeah, M2C is just completely not happy with it. And yeah, so my original thought was that this was going to be cleanup glue, but I'm not sure about that. So let's copy it and see. Does not appear to be. It's really too bad that we can't get anything at all. So we have our normal stack push. Possibly a for loop. An offset into... It looks like this function, but so it's almost like this is a we're just looping through and freeing. Instead of doing it recursively. So let's look at the PowerPC version and see if there's let's see if there's any rant related implementation there. It doesn't look like it. Let's look up cleanup glue. Though that isn't called from this function at all. It just happens here. Anything else obvious? Called a free R. Lots of calls to free R. It might be worth looking at this make file as well. There could be something in here that tells us a little more about the options. I just don't see anything where another function could be injected here. Let's try just something general. And see if we can get anything. We're gonna have to make a lot of assumptions about what this might be. So instead of doing this recursively, let's try to do it iteratively. I don't know why you would do that in this case, but let's try it anyway. is potentially some flag checks here that I'm not sure of. And magical numbers. What is our S1? Hey, heavy metal mixer. So we're adding A0 and 25C. 25C is going to be negative. No, it's not going to be negative. 25CB. I was thinking decimal 250. I'm not sure. Let's just get something out here though. So I'm going to say I equals 0. I don't know why 25C, but let's go with it. And so I'm going to do something a little different. We have our re-ent pointer. So I'm gonna grab one of those. Call it next. Glue, I don't think I need. But what I'm gonna do is we'll say if say next equals pointer next, no, glue next, sorry. If this logic isn't right, but we're going to try it anyway. Blue next equals blue next. Delete that. We'll call free here. And actually that should be fine. I don't think I need. We'll actually call that glue instead. Running too much rust. Let's underscore next. Is that any better? Any closer? Not really. We do get the add -1. I have my 25C. Not quite right. Stack is too big. We have a branch less than 0 for S1. And then we're loading something, masking something. So not quite what we want. It's possible that this is looking for an element in this chain that it has a specific flag set. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's looking for something in the free list. Or am I daft and this is Reclaim Orient? If it is, what does that mean? It definitely is not. Is any of this similar? To me, this looked a little bit like this first section. Let's see what happens if we get rid of this. I dislike these brackets. No, that's not the same either. Not even close. It might be worth putting this into Ghidra and seeing what it can do. But it does look like this is not this. A little closer, but still not quite. Okay, I don't know what that is. So we got nothing done today. Unfortunately, I have to go. I guess what we learned was that it's not those things. We do have a few other things here. String we could look at. So is this part of Sterling, for example? Or is it something else? We just have Sterling here. This one here in between Sterling and VFPrintf. It could actually be part of VFPrintf2. There might be another function in there. Is there anything that gives us a hint? We have a global that is currently unnamed, and that's about it. This looks simple enough for M2C to do. Hey, Heavy Metal Mixer, sorry, gotta run. I'll do this quick and then we'll call it a day. Yeah. Like the others, we don't have to worry about the macros necessarily. No, so this is pretty close. My guess is that this is just a while loop. I think we can get rid of temp v0 altogether. Just use R or A0. So var A0, we shouldn't. Should we be dereferencing it? I guess maybe. We're dereferencing it twice, which seems broken. And this looks like something funny. So we'll come back to this tomorrow. Maybe we can figure it out. It looks like we're dealing with pointers of 32 bytes and a bunch of simplification that can probably happen here. But we'll come back and see it. So that's all for today. We're still looking at newlib built into the PSP version of Symphony of the Night, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Adios.